In the cold, silent depths of the ocean, far beneath where sunlight could reach, there lived an old octopus named Tua. He was unlike the others. His skin had faded from the vibrant red of his youth to a pale, ashen gray. His arms were scarred from narrow escapes and entanglements, and one eye bore a cloudy film from an injury long forgotten. Tua had lived a long life, longer than most of his kind. And he had lived much of it alone. Tua remembered the coral gardens of his youth, the bright fish, and the endless dance of seaweed in the current. He remembered his mother, who had protected him in her den until her final breath. Octopuses are born alone, but she had stayed just long enough for him to feel the warmth of protection, only to vanish forever into the silence that followed. As Tua grew, he explored. He was clever, even for an octopus. He could open jars, escape from tight spaces, mimic other sea creatures to avoid predators. But his intelligence came at a price. He noticed things others didn't. The reef was changing. Each year, fewer fish returned. The corals lost their color. Human garbage drifted into his home. Plastic bags that looked like jellyfish, cans that glinted like shells. Tua avoided them, but not all his neighbors were so lucky. He once watched a young turtle suffocate on a plastic ring. It had struggled for hours before going still. Tua curled tighter in his den that night and did not come out for 3 days. But the worst came when the nets arrived. They moved through the water like silent monsters, dragging everything in their path. Tua escaped more than once by squeezing into impossible crevices, but many others were not so fortunate. He remembered a cuttlefish friend, soft-spoken and shy, who had been swept away. The ocean felt emptier every year. And with every loss, Tua felt something inside him harden, a deep loneliness he couldn't describe, only feel. One night, while hunting among the rocks, Tua saw a strange shimmer near the surface. He rose slowly, cautiously, until he saw a glowing cage, one of the humans' traps, left on the sea floor, filled with bits of fish. Hunger clawed at his belly, and curiosity gnawed at his mind. Something in him had grown tired. He slipped into the trap. The door snapped shut. Panic surged through him, but he did not thrash. Instead, he folded his arms, curled into the corner, and waited. When the humans pulled the cage from the sea, Tua was blinded by the sudden brightness. He was placed into a small tank filled with warm, unfamiliar water. The walls were glass, the ceiling open. He floated silently, watching the world from behind a barrier he could never cross. Days passed. People pointed at him, tapping on the glass. Children laughed, unaware of what he had lost. Tua watched them through his one good eye, trying to understand. At night, when the crowds were gone and the lights were dimmed, he reached out, pressing his arm against the glass, as if searching for the cool touch of the sea. But there was nothing. Time drifted slowly in the tank. The humans fed him well, kept the water clean, but they did not understand his sadness. They gave him toys, plastic puzzles, mazes, shells with food inside, but Tua only stared. He missed the rush of the current, the feel of sand beneath him, the pulse of the living reef. He missed silence. He missed being free. In the tank next to him was a cuttlefish. Younger. Playful. It tried to get his attention, flashing colors, darting side to side. Tua didn't respond at first. But eventually, the loneliness grew too heavy, and he began to mimic the patterns. A slow dance of color. A silent language. They became friends in the only way they could, through the glass. The cuttlefish was named Kiri. The humans wrote her name on a little card outside the tank. Tua did not have a name, but he learned hers from the way the people said it. She was curious and bright. Sometimes she would flash a joke, a quick, silly pattern, and Tua would blink back his amusement. They communicated in flashes and waves, a secret Morse code in light. For a time, it helped. But one day, the humans came and took Kiri away. Her tank was cleaned, filled with another creature, but Tua didn't look. He floated at the bottom of his tank, his skin dull, his mind heavy. He stopped eating. The humans grew concerned. A scientist sat for hours beside his tank, trying to understand. She wrote in a notebook, muttering quietly to herself. Once, she gently touched the glass, whispering, "I'm sorry." But the damage was done. Tua's body was failing. He knew it in the way his arms moved slower, in the way his mind took longer to form thoughts. He curled into the darkest corner of his tank and imagined the deep sea. He remembered the coral, the turtle, Kiri, his mother. He remembered freedom. The night he died, the facility was silent. No children, no tapping, just the hum of the machines that kept the water warm and sterile. Tua floated to the top of his tank, not moving. A night staff member noticed him, shined a flashlight. No response. Tua had drifted into the dark. They wrote about him. A sign was placed near the tank that read,